Welcome back to Tailored Talks. I am Brad.
And I'm Will.
First podcast of 2026.
I know, man. Happy New Year.
It's been a little bit of time, but we're happy to be back. How have you been?
Great, man. Just glad to get back in the saddle again,
right.
as Aerosmith famously sang, right?
What do we have on the wrist today?
Oh, dear. Well, it's a tried and true 1989 Rolex Datejust. That's with a black tapestry dial. And yes, that is a two-tone bracelet as well. You, sir.
What about the right wrist?
Oh, gosh. Little Mont Blanc, initials included.
Yes.
And you, sir.
Today, I've got the 1990 Datejust double stamp Tiffany & Co. We got a great podcast today. It's all about how to dress in 2026.
Indeed.
This is our cheat code for how to dress in 2026. And really, I would say I've been thinking about this since March of 2020, probably. As many of you may know or may not know, we were actually set to open this space at the end of March. And about a week before we were set to open, COVID came and shut everything down. So we did not have a grand opening. And really overnight, the dress code changed. It went from normal office attire to people working from home. And so ever since then, through some probably PTSD, I've also been just waiting to kind of finally announce, hey, it's time, guys, right? It's time to start dressing better. And this year just felt right.
Absolutely.
It felt right. I would want this podcast to be more of a how to dress going forward, and maybe instead of like for 2026. But I think the bar is so low right now that dressing well is the ultimate cheat code. And that could be work, your personal life, all the things you're doing. Such a slight shift that can really move the needle.
I concur. I mean, we're over that sort of 5-year hump. We're moving into yet another decade, if you will, another half of a decade, if you will. And yeah, so this is a call to all you guys to level up, guys and gals.
The government agrees with the airport. They're asking people to dress better. We paid them to tell you guys that.
All right, Don Draper.
What are you seeing like? So for those that don't know, Will's in the shop a couple days a week, but he's also has his normal life in the real estate world, commercial real estate world. What are you seeing in terms of guys that are, a two-part question. A, guys that are dressing well. We're going to talk about cheat codes for doing that. And then what are you seeing for guys like that could possibly step it up?
For me, it's striking a balance. So you've obviously got this sort of casualness that we're slowly but surely coming out of. And I think with that, if you were to say apply that to some of the more traditional styles or tailoring, perhaps you'd have like a softer shoulder or an unstructured jacket, if you will, and finding ways of making that kind of like unstructuredness, right, more adaptable to morning, day, night. So finding that versatility, we always hit upon versatility, but it truly is key here. So I'm hearing more guys saying, hey, I want to level up, but I don't want to go from, say, athleisure to borderline tuxedo overnight. So again, soft shoulder, which is a hallmark of ours from a tailoring perspective, and then really going that unstructured route as well, to where you can go from the boardroom to the club to post golf. That's what I'm seeing, at least.
Are you seeing guys, are they finally starting to wake up? Are they tired of being kind of that steady Eddie? I'm just going to dress like my peers and do what everybody else is doing.
Sure. I'm seeing more of that. There's less status quo, so to speak. That said, look, if you're not into this, I've often thought about this, that's fine. I'm not here to evangelize. And I think we've had this great pause over the last 6 years. And ultimately, what I'm seeing is there's a bit of a sea change in the sense that the pendulum is swinging. So you ventured into this more casual athleisure hyper sort of home focused wear, right? Most people were working from home, et cetera. And now you're seeing guys, yes, wanting to level up, wanting to feel like they're kind of suiting up for the day, and not necessarily suiting up as far as armor per se, right? But more just feeling more prepared.
Or even in a suit, perhaps.
Or even in a suit or a beautiful sport coat,
Yeah.
even that is a little bit perhaps more elegant and elevated than anything else in their closet. Guys were delving into baseball cards, basketball cards, watches, cameras, and so forth, and really sort of honing in on their passions, whether they be around nostalgia and so forth. And so I think of it as a guy from a certain era, Ben Folds 5, right? You want to be the best imitation of yourself. And so we're seeing more clients trying to find that personalization through custom, but again, weaving in this element of sort of the unstructuredness around tailoring as opposed to it being so rigid.
100%. And even like dressing doesn't necessarily mean dressing in a suit or even a jacket. It's just, I look at it as being intentional with what you're wearing. You're not haphazardly just rolling out of bed with your pajamas. It can be casual pieces, but done with intention, right? Like it matches, it goes together, there's a vibe to it. So it doesn't even have to, we're obviously into custom clothing. We do make custom casual wear as well, but we're going to be in sport coats, but it doesn't necessarily mean if you're listening to this and you work in tech, let's say, or in creative, we're not saying, hey, go run out and buy a suit or wear a sport coat. We're just saying, hey, you need to be intentional about how you're dressing. You need to level up from your peers. And we'll go into more of that kind of golden rule and what that leveling up means. From my point, I think there's just a huge market gap at the moment. I think now is the easiest time to win. What are our really successful people doing? What are our most successful clients doing? What are the people who, in a way, like I maybe look up to or aspire to be? And I call these people high agency individuals or high agency clients. These are people who they're the heads at what they do, the leaders. They're the ones that are sort of controlling the room, if you will. We're still getting the sport coats. We're still getting the suits, the ones that worked in the business setting, the ones that worked in more casual settings. They were not just wearing only t-shirts, right? Maybe they're wearing a shirt jacket. They're still leveling up and wearing nicer pieces. And to me, that just struck me as, well, they kind of know a secret that everybody else doesn't know. And so I think most guys right now, they haven't had to dress up. They have been able to get away with, we'll just use the finance setting, right? They could wear the Lululemon and the golf shirt. And again, no shade on that. That's fine. But how are you going to stand out if everybody else is wearing that? It's like we're still dressing like that 2020, 21, 22, where we didn't have to and it was okay. And it sort of took this burden off of ourselves. I could just wear whatever I want. And to me, I kind of feel like we're at a place now where it's like showing up to a race, but the gun starts and they're walking. So it's not like you got to sprint. You just got to run a little bit faster than a walk to actually win that race. That's kind of how I feel where we're at right now in 2026.
Sure. And that's totally analogous to what we're witnessing. And to speak to specific garments, I think of the polo, for instance. Here, one thing that's been really popular for us has been merino wool. So merino wool, a lot of folks will, see even the word wool written on a garment and think, or a tag and think, ooh, I got to stay away from it. Not realizing how it can just elevate the standard polo. So our merino wool polos have been very, very popular.
Right.
And I think a subtle nuance in leveling up a bit.
It's a dressier polo. It's a more luxury, elevated look. It's well fitting. There's not going to be any logos on it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think Like that's a perfect example of like leveling that up. I would love to hear your take on like the difference between like fitting in, safety, and standing out.
Well, as much as I love Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, I just want to fit in. I'm going to sort of debunk that and say, no, you just want to stand out, but with a few caveats. I'd say that you don't have to be the peacock in the room, right? So you want to be respectful about it. I think look inward. You hit on a word earlier, intention or intentionality. Be intentional about it. Maybe spring for a pair of shoes that defines your personality and so forth that perhaps several years ago you wouldn't have thought of purchased, right? So it can be something as simple as that. So it's funny with respect to sort of standing out, right? I often think about Matt Horanek, who has W.M. Brown magazine as well as W.M. Brown Project. He's previously stated about himself and saying, I'm the world's most interested guy, not interesting, interested. There's so much to learn in this particular space. And again, not that we're trying to evangelize per se, but there are ways of, even in subtle manners, being able to underscore your personality with respect to your clothing choices, the intentionality behind it.
I think that's great. I think it's important too that we talk about dressing. Most people outside of maybe Mr. Horanek and you and possibly Mr. Felipe, co-founder of OJ, most guys don't know how to dress. They're not really raised how to do that. But even if they were, it's coming from a different world. Like our parents were boomers. So we were rebelling against what our parents did. I just want to stress that for so many people, they don't know how to do this. And we're going to give them a guide on how to do that. That's one of the reasons we have a job, is because guys don't know how to do this. So I just want to make that very clear. I, in fact, am case number one of an example of not knowing how to dress. So story time. When I am a finance bro, in my finance days, I was just like everybody else, right? So I would come in, I worked in a office uptown Charlotte, and the dress code was business casual. And so I quickly kind of fell into the routine of chinos and a polo. And that's just kind of how it was. That's what everybody else did. Overdo it, surely. And I am so thankful I had this wonderful manager. Shout out to Mr. Jim Vilsack. He dressed really well at work. And I remember we were going to get coffee one day and we were chatting and he was like, I'm like, man, I love this suit. You look great. He's like, I started dressing well because I just realized I always wanted to be ready and I always wanted to be a step ahead. And you just never know what opportunities may arise. So I took his advice. I started leveling up, started dressing a little bit better. I got dress pants, got out the chinos, button downs, started wearing some sport coats. And it was like a light bulb had gone off. I became somebody that others just would associate with dressing well. And then I would end up getting opportunities to attend meetings with my higher ups, my executives, or opportunities to even go present for them in the case, like if they need an emergency. And while I was certainly competent, I took the work seriously. They knew I was always going to be looking the part. And so it gave me other opportunities other people probably didn't get because I was always ready to go. Well, I know Brad's going to look good, so we'll take Brad, right? Like, and I know that's a very simple story, but a very impactful story on how just dressing a little bit better can really turn the tide of a career and kind of help you stand out.
Definitely. And I've heard you say several times over the years, something as simple as keeping, say, a sport coat at your desk. Yep. Yeah. Just to be at the ready and to have that shield waiting.
Have it ready to go. I mean, anybody can do that.
Sure.
But then you also got to be ready. Like, well, you don't want to throw a sport coat over your golf polo
right at
work. And so that's just one big thing too. If you're ready to go and you have a button down on, it's a lot easier to throw the sport coat on.
Right.
So that's why it's important to kind of do that with intention.
And don't forget to do the work as well. It doesn't just come by.
You have to do the work at work. I know different industries are certainly very different from how competitive is it, right? The industry I went into is a very competitive field. I know there's a lot of finance guys here in Charlotte. It's so competitive already. Like everybody's good at their work. So like, what are little things you can also be good at to use as your advantage?
Just confidence building as well. It's interesting working at OMJ over the last almost 3 years. I've got a few anecdotes in this particular vein as well. But most specifically, what I've seen, at least, especially with our wedding clients, they're always fretting over. In fact, I had an email yesterday and the guy said, was it the shawl collar that I chose? Or the shawl lapel, rather. And I quickly said, of course, yes. And that's such a lovely sort of classic silhouette when it comes to a tuxedo and so forth. But in saying that, taking a leap, these don't have to be big swings per se, but whether it's formal wear or whether it's your work wear, you can find those subtle nuances to speak to your own personality. I think that's key.
It is, especially if you're coming to an OMJ, right? This is why we get paid the medium bucks. We give advice, right? Like, we're not going to steer you wrong. I think Will and I would say for OMJ comes from a very grounded and conservative background when it comes to clothing. Now, most clothing guys in the industry, I will say, have a tendency to be a little more peacocky, have a little more flair than I think can intimidate the average guy. But from like an OMJ perspective, you're never going to get steered wrong. We're really good about helping you kind of level up with what your comfort level is, right? So figuring out your boundaries and then how to get you at the edge of it without making you feel uncomfortable, right? We're not going to put the super conservative guy in a bright red and blue plaid jacket.
Right.
We're not even going to recommend that, right? We're going to give him a blue jacket with a little subtle plaid or something like that. So, but I think people do appreciate when you actually take time and care. And that kind of leads us to, how do you do it, right? That's great. But how do I do it? What's the guide for that? So we're going to go through, this is super simple. This is a super simple, guys, a 4-step process. And then we'll give you a golden rule at the end. But this is going to give you the steps on the basics of how to do this. And like I said, it's so simple. But simple doesn't always mean easy. It's going to take a little bit of work. So I'll start with the first step. It's the audit. Like what you currently have. We're not saying throw everything out. You likely have things in your closet that are already great. It's a great starting point. So demystifying that feeling that you're just going to completely start over and spend a bunch of money, right? You don't have to do that. Don't panic. Look and see what you've got. And the rules are, when you're auditing your closet, if you like it and it just doesn't fit, perhaps you alter it. If you're uncomfortable and you don't wear it, donate it and get rid of it.
Closet audit. For me, it's about fit. But ultimately as well, it's about, does the garment sort of speak to you? And does it also transcend sort of trends, right? So I always tend to sort of err on the side of more of the classic menswear stylings. And I find ways of weaving in perhaps an old Burberry barn coat that I've had for 23 years that I wore the heck out of in college. You know, let's give that some new life, breathing new life into older pieces that are just classic examples of yesteryear, but finding a way of pumping new life into them. So wearing something like that with something perhaps new that you've created at OMJ.
That's your new OMJ garment. Yeah.
But I think ultimately, do you like it? Do you like the way you feel in it? Does it fit well? And if not, donate.
Yep.
Consign.
If it's a little tight, a little loose, you can alter that. So if you like it and it's a nice piece, let's alter it. Let's not get rid of it. That can be your base level. Step 2, this is building your core. There's just a handful of essentials that you need. And it's from a guy's perspective. So we can certainly do this from a woman's perspective as well. It would be slightly different. But from a men's perspective, if you're in a business environment for work and you're doing business events and dinners and things like that, you need just a handful of things. And this can get you started. And this can, for some people, this is all they'll need. And so the essentials, and I'll let Will kind of go a little bit further into it, but Navy suit.
Absolutely.
Couple trousers. These would just be dress pants. Couple sport coats. Nice pair of brown shoes. A couple white and light blue shirts. That's it. That's all you need. You can be the best dressed guy at your office with those few simple pieces.
Sure. And to sort of speak to the Navy suit, I would often, even with respect to my own closet, like, okay, I've got 3 or 4, maybe 5 Navy suits. But choosing, if I were to suggest to a client, hey, if you've got one Navy suit, what kind of fabric? Do we want something that perhaps is wrinkle resistant, right? Or has some movement to it? Perhaps has a looser weave to where it could be worn as a suit separate. And so I often will kind of steer guys into like the hop sack sort of category.
So where does a jacket, where is a full suit?
Or even perhaps it's a black suit, right? And the black suit could be worn as a tuxedo. So there's so many ways of finding versatility within one's closet. But again, navy, perhaps black, maybe a charcoal, a couple of sport coats, maybe one that's perhaps a lighter color and then a pattern per se, a couple of pairs of trousers, gray flannel literally goes with everything, a few crisp shirts, and you're golden for 10 plus years.
I will say this, out of the different pieces that I have and have had, the item I get complimented on the most is my navy blue TRA010. We do sell that fabric code here. That fabric, it's just really a Navy suit, but it's a really nice Navy suit. It's a really nice Navy suit. This was notorious, the Joe Biden. It's a color of blue, slightly richer, slightly.
And I have one as well.
The navy blue suit, and Kenneth as well.
And John Ferrer.
Well, read the client roster. Yes. The navy blue suit is my most complimented piece by far. I've got Loro Piana. We've got pieces that are incredibly nice. I've got pieces with cashmere. I wear all those, and of course, I love them. They're nice. But when I put on that navy suit, I think everybody resonates with navy, and you can kind of just subconsciously tell a really nice navy suit that looks nice, it fits well, just has a way to elevate just about anybody.
And a workhorse fabric as well.
Step 3 is knowledge. So I'm not saying deep dive like Will and I here, who I would say, well, I think we're probably second to maybe Mr. Hranek and just being interested in stuff. But I would say a little goes a long way. There's several like sort of fashion oriented podcasts. If you follow OMJ on our website, we have it posted. Just learning a little bit about the industry, it goes a long way. You do not need to be an expert at all. Learn about structures of jackets and fabrics. What did guys wear in the 60s? And what did Hollywood wear? What are they wearing now? Like, what are they wearing on the red carpet? Having a general interest will really, nobody else is doing this. So it's a really easy way to get ahead.
Sure. And I've often thought about this as well. There are less gatekeepers in this space than one might imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think of like the Rake magazine. Tom Chamberlain has an excellent podcast called The Luxury Dispatch that is just phenomenal. Yeah. And he's charming, disarming, just a wealth of knowledge, or a real font of knowledge within the menswear space. as well as what Waco's been able to do with the rake. I applaud them from afar
Yeah.
and read their publication religiously. So these are guys that are at the heart of the matter. They're nerds. They're like us.
Yep. Little goes a long
So
way.
find your lane, right?
Right. Yeah. A little knowledge goes a long way. Step 4 is consistency. And this may be one of the more important steps because this is what being consistent with how you dress is what actually brings it all together. And this is the rainy Monday morning that you're running late. And so you just default back to the old thing. But look, lay your stuff out the night before. You can kind of have an idea, like in your closet, have a section in your closet. All right, this is just my weekly wear, right? Like my white shirts. And if you come to us, we're going to give you stuff that goes with everything so you don't have to think that much about it. But just saying, hey, yeah, I'm just going back to the default. Like that's where you're losing the consistency. And that's where it's so important. If you just do it, if you just put on the button down shirt and the dress pants and the sport coat, even if you're not feeling it that day, gonna be happy you did a couple hours in, right? And doing that on repeat over and over, that's how you become the guy or gal at your office who's known for dressing well because you're doing it even on the rainy Monday morning. You're doing it even after coming back from like Christmas break. It's so easy to go back to the bare minimum super casual. Staying a little bit more elevated consistently is everything.
And for two guys that wear a lot of proverbial hats, lose the hat. It takes a few minutes. Even if you're walking out the door to grab something at the grocery, there's something about just being ready for the day.
It sets the tone. Look, especially on the weekend, like I'm waking up, I'm tired. I don't want to take a shower, right? But the days I do it and get dressed, I feel so much better. The golden rule in this for the work, because I don't want guys going and being like, I'm going to wear a suit to my business casual job. Guys, we don't want you to do that. What you want to do is go one level up. So you have to decide what that is in your profession. If you're at a super casual office where it's shorts and a t-shirt, maybe it is dress pants, right? A shirt jacket. Maybe it's something a little more elevated casual element. If you're at an office wearing chinos and a polo, let's put on the dress pants and a button down. If you're at an office where everybody's just pants and a button down, wear the sport coat. And if you're at an office where everybody's in sport coats and it is a little bit more elevated, wear the suit.
And I think, again, just be mindful of the hierarchy, be mindful of the pervading territory as well.
Yeah. We would never want somebody to alienate themselves because they are going too far. You don't want to try too hard with this and go too far. Right.
I think Kanye once called it being stuntastic, or maybe it was John Mayer. Decide when you're going to be stuntastic.
Yeah. Well, like I take it back to those first days in finance. It was very much a chino and polo, right? Like if I had started wearing a suit to work every day with a tie, they would have been like, who is this 20-something-year-old, right? Get him out of here, sure. Right? That it wouldn't have worked. And so I say that as I hope it rings true to people like, oh, okay, they're not saying I need to be fully dressed up. They're just saying be aware, know, and maybe elevate it slightly.
Definitely. Yeah. Love that.
The OMJ Tactical Guide to Dressing Well. It's a 4-step process. You have your audit. Look at what you have in your closet. Have nice pieces. Maybe they just don't fit. You can get those altered. Those can serve as a great base. If you're not wearing it because it's outside of your comfort zone or whatever the case may be, get rid of it. Step 2 is building the core. Like these are your core essentials and you don't really need that many. Navy suit, couple pairs of trousers, couple sport coats, couple white shirts, couple light blue shirts, and some nice shoes. That is it. You can really stand out just by having well-fitting, well-made garments. Always add up to those. Those things will never go out of style. Step 3 is the knowledge. Hey, learn a little bit. You don't have to be an expert, but just start kind of listening to podcasts and resources around how to maybe dress better or the history of garments and dressing. OMJ certainly has resources on our website for that. And then step 4 is consistency. Keep doing it. If you're dressing well, just keep doing it. Lay your stuff out the night before, kind of have a plan, take an extra 5 minutes each day and actually stick with it. And then the final is the 1 level up rule, right? Take what other people are doing, what the masses are doing, and elevate it 1 level up. So how do you overcome the fear?
Oh, gosh, the anxiety associated with it all, huh? Well, gosh, I mean, for me at least, comfort is key, right? So if the clothes fit well, you'll feel like you're in the right set of clothes. You won't feel awkward about it, taking into consideration the lay of the land. And I think sort of back to Sean Connery, right? And James Bond, when he was preparing for Dr. No, they actually had him sleep in his Savile Row tailored suit so that he would become fully comfortable wearing it. I kind of refer to this as the pajamas effect. If the tailoring feels like pajamas, you're going to feel that much better in it. You're going to be able to transition in and out of multiple environments and so forth. For me, I think fit is everything. If it fits well, you're going to feel well. And taking into consideration those sort of 4 prongs to overcoming.
I think a lot of guys too, it's, hey, I don't want to get teased at work, right? Like, it's safe. It's safe if I just dress like everybody else. It's safe. And I say to them like, hey, like, look, again, as long as you're following kind of the rule of 1 level up, it's going to be pretty subtle. And then like kind of let them tease you, right? I would say like the start of any year is a great time to start it because it's a new year, right? You kind of have this built-in excuse to say, hey, look, I just want to do a little bit better, right? Like I'm starting to go to the gym or I want to start the diet. I want to dress a little bit better. But you can start at any time and say, hey, look, what I've been listening to podcasts that OMJ recommended. And I want to learn a little bit. Like if you're going just one level up, they may tease you, but in the heart of it, they're just wishing like, man, I kind of wish I was doing that too. And who knows, you may start a revolution.
There we are. And I think to that as well, I would add preparedness.
Yes.
Perhaps laying out your clothes the night before. That's helped me over the years, but didn't have in Charlotte either. And I'll never forget, she would leave for these trips and she would lay out all my clothes.
That's incredible.
And each outfit would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No cheat days even, right? That didn't come until, I don't know, probably 97, 98. But in saying that, it instilled in me some regularity with sort of the preparedness that goes into all of this as well. If you're not having to think too quickly about something and you've already got it dialed in and lined up, it's going to help you on multiple fronts.
And I can vouch, Will was consistent in the 4th grade. He did the work, guys. If a 4th grader can do it, we can all do it.
Sure.
All right, guys. So the next step. What's the next step, guys? It's 2026. What a great time. What a great time to start. The world is ready for efforts.
Call to action.
Yes. Yes. Look, guys, judge-free zone here. We founded OMJ to make it easier to get dressed. That is our mission. That is what we love doing. We want to build confidence in people in how they dress. And we want you to grow in your careers and your lives and have just dressing be a small part of what helps you get there. So we know a guy or a gal here. And if you need anything, we're of course happy to help, whether that be giving advice or perhaps making a few pieces.
Well, and come see Brad.
Yeah.
And the rest of the lovely
Or Londi.
team.
See Londi back there.
Or Cullen. Or Michelle.
Cullen. Yes.
All right, Hillary Duff.
Yes. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great 2026.
Thank you all. Happy New Year. Already dropped a Ben Folds 5 reference, so sorry, Brad.
Millennial 5.
Brad's like, who have I hired?
I love Ben Folds.
That would have been actually kind of funny.
I've seen Ben Folds in concert at the over by Ovens Auditorium.
What a savant.
Yeah.
So good.
So we do need we need like a
And a North Carolina native. I mean, if Ben wants to come in here, come on.
Get Ben Folds.
Yeah. So this is a PSA. We want Ben Folds.
Yeah.
Or Ben Clemmer.
Or Ben Clymer, you're invited as well. Or Mr. Hannock.
Or
Miles Fisher. Yes.
Tom Chamberlain. Or Waco.
And if you don't know who these people are, you should be reading our blog.
Look them up.